wanted to say how proud I am of the United States military. I am proud that they did not put on a show yesterday that made me think of North Korea or Russia or China. I am proud of the fact that they are more interested in doing their jobs and being the best military in the world than they are about putting on a parade for a corrupt president. And there's a lot of debate about how intentional their marching style was yesterday, and that's fine. I don't pretend to know what they were thinking, but whatever they were thinking, the message certainly came out that they were not doing this because they were excited to be out there putting on a show, which is more in line with the philosophy of a developing nation being ruled by a fascist dictator than the tradition of the United States of America. We have never had military-style parades like they have in fascist dictatorships. And after yesterday, I don't think we ever will. So thank you to our military. I salute you.
As a former JROTC instructor, I want to apologize to all the cadets nationwide because apparently the U.S. Army can't march either. Did you see that at the parade? That was atrocious. And understand, marching takes concentration. Marching takes a little bit of practice, something that we were supposed to learn in basic training for the ones who just entered the military. So, hey, if that's what we put in front of the world on a camera, shame on us because, hey, marching is about discipline. Marching is about order, structure, and it's about following instructions at a moment in time. And we can't do it, apparently. Now, I know you got your drill teams and things that specialize for certain competitions. Yeah, they advance, but hey, after that, hey, all ROTC cadets, you do your thing and march however you do. That was terrible.
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. So we had a huge military parade yesterday in Washington, D.C. The big military parade that now the MAGA world, as well as the Trump administration, some of his people, are saying that 250,000 people showed up in attendance on the National Mall for this military parade. Well, something that they should always count on, that there is video and visual evidence of how many people were at the parade. While there was 12 million people attending the No Kings protest across America, less than 10,000 people actually showed up in Washington, D.C.
This is it. This is the big military parade that Donald Trump was bragging about, the one that cost between $25 and $45 million, the one that he said that if he saw any protests in the vicinity, that he was going to stomp them out with force. Brother, nobody came. I mean, just look at this turnout, man. Pathetic. There are football teams that haven't won a Super Bowl in over 30 years with a bigger turnout than this. There are high school graduations that have more people show up than this. All it took was 6 months for Donald Trump to remind everyone, man, maybe I really don't like that fucking guy. I mean, you can read it all over his face, man. There is not a sliver of happiness on this guy's face, and it touches me a little bit. I'm so happy that he's upset. Doesn't change anything, but I'm glad that my enemies have no joy in their heart. I know for a fact this is what Donald Trump had picture in his mind, man. He's gonna go to sleep crying to this picture, man. Now this is a military parade. Say what you will about North Korea, they got aura sometimes.
But according to the Trump administration and his colleagues, 250,000 people showed up. But that's pretty common. That's only a 25 multiplier for this administration. So that's probably about the right math. But come on, folks. We've seen this game before.
You could actually see the light leave his eyes during his birthday parade. It was the moment he knew that he was completely cooked. Was clearly having a horrible time and looked so despondent the whole time because he was looking out over the crowd and there literally wasn't one. He spent $48 million on a parade for himself and nobody showed up. The tourists that came looked confused and there was no music playing. Even Hegseth and Marco Rubio sitting next to him looked completely bored the entire time. All he wanted was to be as cool as Putin in Russia or Kim Jong-un in North Korea, to have a big military parade celebrating himself, and he literally couldn't even get his own supporters to come watch. Like that one video that's circulating of the tank rolling by and you can hear the wheels squeaking and you can't hear a single person cheering. I mean, that just sent me. Today he's claiming, his whole administration is claiming that 250,000 people showed up. Less than 10,000 were there.
Apparently, this wasn't just a blue city thing or a blue state thing. Some red states showed out as well. We're talking about Idaho, a state that Trump won in 2024 by nearly 70% of the vote. Boise, thousands of people showed up for their No Kings protest. Now, the No Kings people are saying 5 million protesters showed up across the country. Now, some cities, of course, you would expect this. Take Los Angeles, where apparently 200,000 people showed up. Now, that's huge. And you had those early estimates from New York City, around 50,000. The Trump administration expecting around 200,000 for the military parade. What do you think?
I'm going to admit, for shits and giggies, I did watch Trump's military parade. I'm sorry. His birthday goddamn soiree flop. I did watch it. What the fuck was going on with the bands? Those grown motherfuckers could not march in sync to save their goddamn lives. How do you expect them to win a war? How do you expect these motherfuckers to protect our country when they had someone in front of them telling them how to march and sing, and they still couldn't get it together? Were they the paid actors? Did they pay them in cryptocurrency? Were they the ones that were bought and paid for? What the fuck happened? A simple high school band from Louisiana, middle school, preschool band from Louisiana could outperform them. And I know I'm biased. We have the best bands in the nation, and that would be Southern University and Grambling University, hands down. There's no debate about it. But what the fuck happened here? I see why people were yawning. All 10 of them that were actually there. They had more people at the insurrection. The January 6ers outnumbered the people at that goddamn parade. The military tank squeaking by was like watching something out of a goddamn old horror movie. This motherfucker can't even get a parade right. If anybody else saw it, let me know. Hello.
Okay. Sunday after the No Kings protests all over the country and Donald Trump's birthday parade. What a disgrace. Such a disgrace. 20,000 people? Supposed to be 200,000 people. What a loser. Meanwhile, No Kings protests got about 5 million people is the count that I heard, spread out throughout the country. I attended a big protest in West Hollywood. There were other big protests around other parts of Los Angeles. And so I just wanted to comment on the fact that, you know, people are talking about there's a 3.5% rule that when 3.5% of the population protests en masse, it has the effect of toppling the regime. This has just been studied in places throughout the history, throughout the world, when there's been mass protests and a unpopular anti-democratic regime in power. I bring this up to just point out that, you know, keep up the protests, stay engaged, stay involved. I bring all this up just to make the point that Donald Trump is weak, and not just because he's a little baby and a man-child and he's immature and he's just a jerk, but he's weakened politically. You know, he's even backtracking on these ICE raids, right? There's a big show of force, big show of strength, but it's backfiring. Because the restaurant industry and the farm industry are saying, hey, guess what? We need migrant workers, immigrant workers for our businesses to function. You know, they're going to destroy the economy is what they're going to do if they continue with these ICE raids the way they're doing. Now, I've already said that Donald Trump has no convictions. The only thing he cares about is being rich and being powerful. He has no convictions. So when it comes to the immigration policy, it's the architects behind the immigration policy are Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon. And these are, you know, Donald Trump derives his power from the right-wing far right wing of the Republican Party. And these are avowed white supremacists, nativists, anti-immigration activists. They're just horrible people. And what they really want is a white America. And that's what their policies are derived on. Now, if there's going to be a backlash to the point where, you know, the economy is going to crater and huge corporations are going to say, hey, stop what you're doing, it makes Trump a lot less powerful. And he's starting to realize that. See, the thing is, he let these idiots, these white supremacists, take over the policy without realizing that, dude, it's going to backfire. Because I'll tell you what, you think you're going to take over California? You think you're going to tell California what to do? No, you're not. California is the 5th largest economy in the world. And we keep saying that for a reason, because California developed as a state. It was an independent country for a couple years. You know why? Because California is so strong as a place, a multicultural melting pot. It was sort of the first international state. You know, you had a huge native population, a Mexican population, Spanish population, and then once the port cities opened up to the Far East, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, a huge influx of Asian workers, of Chinese workers to build the railroads. And now today we have a huge foreign population in the tech industry. You can't take down California. You're not going to come in here with your white supremacist ideology and say that California has to become a state like Missouri or Alabama. It's just not going to work, okay? So I think that's becoming clear, reluctantly, behind the scenes. So that's where we are, people. Now, it also helps me wonder when I saw all the protests this weekend, the numbers of people all across the country, and the vehemence too, like the signs and the way that the things that people are saying. People are fucking pissed because you're interrupting the American way of life for this white supremacist minority. It makes me wonder, how did Trump win? Were all these people that checked out 6 months ago and now they're fully engaged again because they see what's happening? Is that what happened? I don't know. I find that hard to believe. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I don't know. You know, I guess he won. I guess he swept all 7 swing states in a way that's never happened before. I don't know. But for a guy who's so unpopular, it seems highly unlikely. So I say all this to say, Viva California. California fucking kicks ass. And we are the backbone of this country. Don't fuck with us. And specifically, don't fuck with Los Angeles. It's not going to work out well. Immigration is the backbone of our economy. Period. End of story. So that's the point I want to make, is sort of keep up the pressure, stay involved, stay engaged. And we're going to have to turn out in huge numbers in November this year and next to get this regime out of power. And hopefully we'll still be able to vote, and hopefully elections will still be fair.
Everybody talking about the Trump parade yesterday, how the crowd sizes and didn't nobody show up and all this other stuff. Now, let's talk about how the soldiers were out of step. I was flabbergasted. They were ate up. The soldiers were out of step. I mean, on national TV, in front of the President of the United States of America, they were out of step. It drove me crazy. And I know I wasn't the only one. I know somebody else out there caught that, but it drove me crazy. It was no decorum in that. Man, look. Man, look. I don't know what's going on in the Army these days, but ain't no way that those soldiers were supposed to be marching like that. They were marching like crap. And it wasn't just one platoon or one unit or one battalion. It was damn near everybody. I mean, it was just so... Like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Did the Army all of a sudden decide to not teach marching?
Is it just me, or did the marching at Trump's birthday parade look a little sluggish and sloppy? Like, I'm not in the military, I've never been in the military, but I have seen military marches, and they're usually very crisp, concise, in step, and this one just looked sloppy. And I've seen some creators on this app talk about why that could be, is that this could be their silent form of protest. Military members not really able to actively protest. This could be a sign that they are doing a silent protest of some sorts. They were talking about their hands and their feet, and it just was very nonchalant. It did not seem like a military spectacle like we would expect. I mean, I was in marching band one summer, and I feel like we were taught to mark time and keep in step much tighter than that was, in a much crisper rhythm than what we saw at that military parade. And I'm not saying every single one of those people came out and was against Donald Trump and everything like that, but there were instances, there were times, there were units, there were groups that looked less than stellar. It did not seem to be a crisp military display like you might see in North Korea or things like that. Trump wanted it to be like that, but did that strike anybody else? How it just looked kind of like they were going through the motions and not really doing the standard protocol marching, keeping in time, keeping in rhythm, and just that clean crispness that you expect at a ceremonial type event like the 250th parade for the military anniversary and Donald Trump's birthday. So was that a sign of protest? I don't know. I don't know if you're ever going to hear that, but it looked from people who are in the military or used to be military or anything like that, that was a sign of protest that those people did while they were at the birthday party. And if they were, it's a nice sign to see, because it shows that people, even our military, understand that their oath is to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump. And they are not just giving in. So I really hope it was. I know millions and millions of people turned out strong for No Kings protest, and I'm hoping the people at that military parade were just a few that took a stand yesterday.
What if, y'all, what if the parade was a cover-up? What if the parade was a cover-up for an excuse to get military tanks here by the numbers? What if all of that money, they told you it was for a birthday, but what if all those tanks were not here for a parade? It just was an excuse to get all those tanks on American soil so that the war that's going to take place on our soil, they're already ready and they're already prepared. Ain't no way. Like, we gotta think who we dealing with. Y'all think that man dumb. He's not dumb. He's not dumb. Okay? He's looking at the rest of the world, at the world who, like, you gotta think this is not a country. This is a corporation. That's why we have a president. That is the first businessman that is a president. He knows how to come into the back door. I don't think those tanks were for a parade. Just my theory. I think there was definitely a way to sneak those tanks in right under our nose, so when everything pops off and we're looking like, oh, where did these tanks come from? They were already here because we watched him ship them over on boats and on trains.
So let me get this straight. This administration came through the door talking about how they wanted to get the budget back under control because us as Americans have been spending uncontrollably to the point where we are in a bond. And they said the best way to do that was by cutting the workforce. So they cut a whole lot of people's jobs. They cut a lot of people's insurance. They cut a lot of aid off to like countries where people needed that aid to stay alive. Like let that sink in. And they did that all in the name of saving money on our budget, right? But today we wake up and the president has decided to spend $45 million of taxpayers' money on a parade to celebrate his birthday and the military's birthday at the same time. Like if that makes any sense in even saying that, like if there's any sense to be found in that. That's what he said that he was doing, but he spent $45 million to do it. And I feel like that's crazy because 1, it got rained out. 2, nobody showed up. And 3, he was on the sidelines, like sitting there with egg on his face because all of this shit is ridiculous. And I feel that if anybody else, any other president had done this shit, they wouldn't be able to find a job at Walmart nor the local CVS, because us as Americans would have rejected him. But it's amazing that this man has gotten this far. You got to take in mind, they came in the door talking about how they wanted to save money on the budget and how they were making cuts right and left. And then they started spending money on ridiculously stupid shit. Like, you got to take in mind, they upped our military spending budget, and we didn't even need the military to be like that. Like I guess that invested in. We had already as a country been investing in our military. That's just what we do. But he thought it was a good idea to cut all of the money that went to things that were actually needed just to bolster the military. Like, you got to take in mind, this man doesn't know what the fuck he is doing, and we are sitting here watching it. But I feel like, watching like him have this parade today and seeing all of the No Kings protests that were going on, and seeing how us as Americans, we are uniting against like his regime and the shit that he's trying to push out. Seeing that made me feel so American, that it made me think in my mind that, I think America, we are coming to the overall consensus that he is full of bullshit, and like, we need to get him out. And this, like, seeing these No King protests pop up really let us know that, we all are arriving on the same page. Because, I've said this before, that the things that he's doing, it goes beyond politics. Like, it goes beyond like politics. It's a battle of morality, because in one breath you can say, hey man, I don't want all these illegal people in my country, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if these people are already over there and they have kids, and those kids are now citizens, and you want to send the parents back, home, what life does that make for the child? Like, you got to take in mind, it's no longer just politics, it's morality. Like, and if you're okay with, sending a child, I guess sending a child to live in a country away from their family because you deported their parents, then I feel like you're a fucked up individual. Like, you personally are a terrible fucking person, and your morals are fucked up. So it wouldn't surprise me that you would align yourself with somebody like him. But I feel like, the world is starting to wake up, and people are starting to realize that, the morality of it, that they're starting to realize, what really matters. And what really matters is that we don't break up families, you know what I mean? And it's not like, even using that as a crutch, but we don't break up families. Families, if they're over here and they're together and they have made it, you know what I mean? And one of them is a citizen, or they're in the process of working it out, let that legislation play out. And if they get, certified to be over here, they get certified. And if they don't, then, you have the access to deport them. But until those things are, I guess, processed and they're given that chance to get these things done, I feel like everything that this man is doing is just filled out of hate. So seeing everything, come together with the No Kings protest today, that really made me feel like an American, and it made me feel like we really are, getting somewhere. So y'all let me know what y'all think. This video went a little longer than expected, but, like I said, I'm really happy to see us uniting against something that, needs to be, put out of office, because, until it's out of office, there is nothing that we really can, do as a country. And I mean, far as growing, truly growing. We can't grow long as that tumor is in the White House. So.
You guys, that's exactly the reason why you don't do military parade in the democratic countries. That was pretty embarrassing, you guys. Come on, man.
In the United States Army. As part of the buildup for World War II, cavalry and reconnaissance units were brought together to form the 1st Armored Division in 1940.
There's just no way you're going to find a clip funnier from last night. So he wanted this military parade on his birthday to look strong, like China and Russia and all the other good dictators. That's what he got.
Amazing viewer, I'm glad you watched this extent. Thank you so much for being part of Comfort for Life. It has been another compilation with, let me say, meaningful impacts, because not only we had the feedback from the parade, but also we know that something has happened, something meaningful has happened. People have voiced up against what is happening, the mass deportation that isn't happening the right way. And also, should I say, fortunately, unfortunately, I also got one positive response from the parade. And I know this is really simply based on what she believes in. Yeah. So, yeah, go Army. You are not supposed to be that perfect. You're simply focusing on your job, which was also a good response. To encourage the Army. I know there are people who will come across these videos, and there's so many negative feedback, and if they come across this video, I think it will be comforting for them. Yeah, those who are in the Army, of course. Thank you so much for being here. Like the video, subscribe, and also share your thoughts in the comment section. Let's interact.